Hey, what's up, everybody? Before I get into the version 1 broadcast for the grid today, I figured it'd be cool to sit down and chat, or stand up in this case, about the overall standings. Right now, we are in the final split for spring, and it's coming down to the wire. You're starting to see a lot of shifts in the final standings, and I figured it'd be a good idea to actually keep you guys up to date on all those things. Teams that are still in the running, teams that still actively have a chance, as well as some massive shifts that we saw this past weekend from the regional from Europe, and what it means for the future. What's up, everybody? Lawler here, your inside source for all things Rocket League. As I mentioned today, we're going to be talking about the different regions and who is technically still in the running. We've actually got some teams that have already qualified for the World Championship if it does happen. So I'm going to go region by region: Europe, North America, OCE, and then South America. Take a look at the points, see who's in the running, provide some of the context about what's happening, and we'll go from there. Before we get into that, as always, if you guys enjoy the content, thumbs up, subscribe, notifications, all that fun stuff. Slowly climbing up to 50k. We just passed 30, almost at 31 already, so greatly appreciate the love and support. But as always, if you guys have any questions, comments down below, or any teams that you think have a chance that people aren't paying attention to, make sure you let me know those as well. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to focus on Europe, as well as the overall rankings for just that region across the entire season. So in Europe right now, your top contenders are roughly your top 9, top 10. Anybody who is not top 10 is out of the running. Points wise, realistically speaking, is just a shot in the dark. It's not going to happen. So with that said, we can eliminate BDS and Vitality, as they have already gotten enough points to qualify for the World Championship. BDS continues to be stellar and have qualified convincingly over everybody else, even before the spring split started. Vitality, after their first regional, then did receive enough points. They've also solidified a spot. Even if they get 0 points for the rest of the split, it does not matter. They have enough points to qualify and will not drop out of top 6. So the teams that we're going to be focusing on are Top Blokes, Giants Gaming, Team Queso, Dignitas, Solary, Guild, Endpoint, and Galaxy Racer. Galaxy Racer, Guild, and Endpoint have all dropped quite a bit, and part of the reason why is what happened this past weekend. Team Queso alongside Solary, if you guys don't know Solary, the former Oxygen roster, both made it to the grand finals. Grand finals being a guaranteed of minimum 350 points, winner getting 451. They were both tied at 1350 points going into the regional, and their performances both bumped them up into the 5 and tied for 6 spot. So right now, just to kind of classify how close this really is, Top Blokes and Giants have a little bit of a lead. At Top Blokes is 3rd place at 2291 and Giants at 2030. As I just mentioned, making it to the grand final does give you an additional 350 points, which is enough for teams like Queso, Dignitas, and others to be in that fighting range, if not better than Giants Gaming, which puts you in top 4. That's if and only if teams like Giants keep tending to fall out early. Giants has been actually in a subtle decrease as of late, alongside teams like Galaxy Racer, where teams that were originally like trending in a good upward direction of top 8 just haven't really shown the results, which is unfortunate for Galaxy Racer with the addition of Bluey coming in. The teams that I'm personally really focused on is Queso, Dignitas, Solary, and Guild. Those 4 teams are so close in points. You're talking 2 of them are tied at 1700, and then Guild is at 1680, only 20 points behind that. And then Endpoint is kind of in shooting range, but just a little bit behind, and they have moments, but I just don't think they're going to be able to make up that point differential in order to push in. So if I had to be 100% honest with it, I think right now the race is between Guild, Solary, Dignitas, and Queso. I think all those 4 teams are essentially fighting for 2 spots in 5 and 6. I do think Giants should be able to solidify a top 6 spot, but with the way they've been trending, I'm a little bit nervous for them. But right now, Queso, Dignitas, Solary, and Guild, anytime those guys play, I am zoned in and waiting to see the results. I joked about this on stream and on broadcast the other day about being like a chaotic neutral, where I'm not one to bring the chaos, but if it happens, I'm all for it. And in this case, to me, this is the perfect scenario. As a fan, as someone who likes watching things get down to the wire, every single regional matters so much. The major is going to have such a huge importance onto who gets those last spots. You're talking when that major happens, not only are you dealing with the heightened sense of it is a major, there's double points, all this kind of stuff, there's a bunch of money on the line, but now it's for world championship spots. That is going to come down to like the last series, and you're talking it's not only an elimination match, but it's also possibly going to eliminate you from world's contention. That is awesome. That is everything I want as a fan. So a lot of stuff to pay attention to for Europe. Jump over to North America. Energy, Envy, Rogue, Space Station, FaZe, G2, Kansas City Pioneers, Alpine, Sonics, Pittsburgh Knights, Version 1, etc., etc. A lot of teams are still in the fight, and part of the reason why is because no specific team has guaranteed qualifications. We've seen a lot of different parity in North America where it's not just one team that has won something. Energy, Envy, Rogue, Space Station have all won stuff, and you do have a little bit of that now for the first time. BDS Vitality, Queso, and Top Blokes have won stuff in the past for regionals, but that only happened where 2 new teams got that this past weekend. So because there's been a lot more of the points being spread about, you are seeing things being much closer. Like, you're talking about the difference in Europe. I mean, BDS is what, 1,200, 1,100 points ahead of everybody else. So that's just not the case. You're talking the difference between first and second is 200. So a little bit different there. So with that said, the ones that come to mind, Kansas City Pioneers, obviously trending in a pretty good direction. G2 showed really good results with Drees in the grid going 3-0 yesterday. Curious on how those results show up today. If you guys don't know, the grid is going to be going on for North America all week. There is today, technically yesterday, for when this video comes out on Tuesday, where every team is playing 3 matches. There's another on Saturday as well. So every team plays 3 matches each time there's a grid, and it's a round robin. So every team plays every team. It's actually really awesome. It's as if the old RLCS format basically expanded the amount of teams from 10 to 16. It's pretty sick, actually. So a lot of teams still in the running. Realistically, I think Alpine is probably a little bit behind. They haven't really had too many of good results as of late. I think Sonics being at this point 700 points behind is also kind of a stretch. But again, I say that 2 regionals is 700 points if you take second place in both. So it is possible. It's just all the teams above them have to perform down, which has happened, but very unlikely. So I think right now you're looking at the teams that are below that 2,500 threshold. Space Station, Rogue, Envy, Energy, to me, are shoo-ins. Like, they will make it top 6, guarantee. I don't expect them to just get 0 points for the rest of the season. Like, to me, you will see Energy, Envy, Rogue, and Space Station at the World Championship if there is one, without a doubt. You then look at FaZe Clan, G2, Kansas City Pioneers, and I guess you can throw Alpine in there because all it takes is one event for them overperforming, and then they're back in the running. If I had to be realistic, I think FaZe Clan, G2, and Kansas City Pioneers are all fighting for 2 spots, which is actually a pretty close fight. I think you look at the difference in Europe where there's so many teams all fending for it. I think the ability to just look at 3 teams and say it's you, or you, 2 go, 1 goes home, I think is really easy for fans to follow. I think it's exciting as well with the way that Peeps have now picked up by FaZe Clan and how they've been performing, solidifying themselves as one of the better teams in the region. It's unfortunate to say, I think many people are starting to recognize that Version 1 is a top 8 team in the region. Some say even top 6, but again, they had such a rough start in the fall split that they are too far behind in points. If they're not getting second place or winning, like, there is no chance for them to make it. So I personally don't think that's possible, even though they're playing extremely well lately. Bias aside, like, they are, and many consider them to be a team that puts up a fight against any team. I'm not trying to show it. Obviously, I'm wearing their merch because I have to cast for them later, but they are playing really well. It's just they dug such a big hole that unless they perform top 4 every time, chances are unlikely, and now they have to do even better than that. Like, just qualifying through the grid isn't enough for a lot of teams. So realistically, FaZe Clan, G2, Kansas City Pioneers, all fighting and fending for that last 2 spots. I'm excited to see how that one comes down to the wire, especially now that Kansas City Pioneers is kind of back on track and they're playing extremely well, although the grid didn't go too well for them yesterday. Jumping over to OCE. OCE in South America, obviously a little bit different because there's only 2 spots for World Championships. The crazy thing is in both regions, and I'm going to pair these together just to make it a little bit easier, but Ground Zero and True Neutral have both qualified. They have automatically made it in. Points-wise, they only do 2 regionals in those regions for some reason. I don't know why they don't do 3. I don't know if it's a scheduling conflict or what, but because of that, Ground Zero being up by 800 points, done. They're fine. But the exciting thing is many people believe that Cringe Society was going to be the team to make it in, but Renegades, with the new roster addition, they took out Sicky, they brought in Fever, have been doing phenomenal. Not only did they beat Cringe Society in the 3rd place, 4th place match, but they also get into the grand finals and win that one. So not only do they get the double point, they also remove their competition. And now, after being behind for so long, are within striking range. They're only 120 points behind, which is definitely doable if they keep trending the way that they are. They've been looking absolutely insane. Ground Zero pretty much wiped the floor with everybody in that region for quite a while. Like, they were the clear number one and still are. But Renegades smacked them with the roster change. So a revitalized Renegades right now against Cringe Society is pretty much the fight. I do think Mind Freak could possibly do it, but I haven't seen enough results from them to justify, like, you guys have a realistic chance. Sometimes they play upset. Sometimes they do have really good results, but convincingly enough, I just don't think they have the firepower to really push them into that. So right now it's a two-man race. Cringe Society, Renegades, they're fighting for that top 2 spot. I'm excited to see how that one plays out because it's usually those two that are playing each other, and it swings heavily one way or the other a lot. Ground Zero just gets to sit back and be like, yeah, we'll take some extra money, but you two fight over there. We're already going. As for South America, similar regards. Like I said, True Neutral has already qualified. I look at the results, and even though it's not a guarantee, Furia looks like they're good. Like, Furia's gonna make it. Noble has played pretty much upset. They're basically like kind of like Mind Freak, but in a better way. And even though they do have some moments here and there, and there's a lot of really talented players on that roster, names that a lot of people do recognize because they have made it to the World Championship before, Havoc Camper, Firefox, and Hanan. They're just too far behind. I mean, you're almost talking 1,000 points, just shy of 900. Realistically, it's just very difficult to be in striking range with only like an event and a half left. I say that the major worth double points can push them ahead, but the expectation of Furia performing so poorly that their points don't overdo it, I just can't see it. I would like to assume that True Neutral and Furia are going to be the ones, especially after the big signing for Furia. Shoutouts to Card Tander and Kaio for their pickup, but I think True Neutral and Furia are a really good representation for that region if a World Championship happens. I'm excited to see veteran talent that has been to a World Championship come back if we do manage to have it, but I look at representation, and if I had to, on my own, True Neutral and Furia from Sam, Ground Zero, and Renegades would be cool because CJ hasn't been to a World Championship in like 3 seasons, maybe 4. Obviously 1 doesn't count because we couldn't have one, but having CJ come back would be pretty dope. I would actually be happy for Renegades to make the run and show the new team, and maybe Fever gets his first exposure at a World Championship like that. That'd be cool. Cringe Society also has some veteran talent as well, and always good to see those teams kind of run it back and see what happens. I think Ground Zero looks like a really fun team. I personally want to see Ground Zero and True Neutral play each other. For North America, Energy, Envy, Rogue, Space Station. I think FaZe Clan will make it. And if Drees keeps doing what he's doing, I think he doesn't look awkward in their team. What I saw in the grid from when they were playing, he looks like he fits the build pretty well. A fight between them, G2, I think, just for the sake of having a namesake team and everything, as well as veteran talent, Chicago and JNAP's coming back. Drees would be a really cool experience. 6 teams there, and then we get BDS, Vitality, Top Blokes, Dignitas, Solary, and Giants. You get a little bit of teams that have never played in a LAN at a World Championship. You get some teams with veteran talent that have some comeback stories. Dignitas with a completely different roster. I think the fight between Queso, Dignitas, Solary, and Guild is an exciting one. Whoever takes that final spot for me is going to be pretty hype, but I look at the representation for each region and who's making it. Damn good World Championship. Almost rivals how awesome Season 9 would have been with the different talent that would have shown. If you guys want to make yourself a little bit sad, go look at the teams that would have made it to the World Championship and the rosters that were included in that, and then know that we missed out on it. It really sucks. So if this happens again, where we get all this awesome talent, the most World Championship that we've ever had, and we don't get to entertain that idea and we don't get to watch it, it's going to really suck. So these are your teams that are in the running. Realistically, these are the teams I think that have a chance and that will make it. But again, you guys may have some different opinions. Let me know down below. Teams, questions, comments, concerns, all that kind of stuff. What are your ideal matchups? What are the 16 teams you would like to see go to the World Championship? Let me know what you have to say. While you're down there, if you enjoy the content, links to everything I'm talking about can be found in the description alongside my social medias. And if you enjoy the content, give it a thumbs up, hit subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Big announcement tomorrow. Keep out for that. Peace.